Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I just finished treating this thing to a nice pressure wash bath, and kudos to Super Clean. There was a lot of built up gunk on this thing, and from oil leaks and grease and all that stuff, and hit it with Super Clean, let it set a couple minutes, and then hit it with the pressure washer with my Harbor Freight turbo nozzle. And she come out squeaky clean. In fact, I had to be kind of careful. I almost started taking paint off. But anyway, I removed this side motor mount bracket. As soon as this dries off, I'm going to back it back into the shop. And I'm going to hoist the 3 to 5 LB onto here. I think that bracket can stay. I think when I shove the base of the engine up against that, the belt pulley on it should align with that jack shaft pulley there. We'll see. I might have to do some adjusting. So yeah, here we go. Well, I was hoping against hope that the camshaft bearings in this engine might be good, but nope. They're worn out too. So if anybody knows where I can find camshaft bearings for a 1.5 to 2.5 horsepower International Harvester LB engine, let me know. Man, I'm really giving this old welding table / workbench a real test. I got 2 LBs up here, a couple of Mongo electric motors there, channel iron. I mean, I got a lot of weight sitting on this thing, and nothing's bending, nothing's tweaking, nothing's failing, I hope. So I'm looking at the little gray engine over here. That looks like a fairly new seal, and there's a little end play, but there is absolutely no up and down, side to side whatsoever. So the camshaft bearings in this little guy are just fine. A tail of 2 LBs. Some kind of trouble I can get into here. You know, I mentioned earlier that I bought that pump jack trailer from Jim, my buddy Jim, several years ago, and I augmented it since he had it, and you know, I added the grinder, rebuilt the compressor, and a few other odds and ends. And I've got more ideas for it, but it's kind of getting crazy. There's my busted rocker arm here. What do we got here? Electrical tape. Look this push rod over. It's looking okay. Doesn't appear to be bent. I'll run it across a flat surface. But yeah, it's been a fun thing to have, and it's really popular at the shows. Man, people just stand there with their mouth open, looking at this thing, wondering how in the world. Okay, I'm going to look these rockers over real close just to make sure everything's okay here before I start disassembling. You can see the weak spot is right here, right across there, and that's right where this one failed. And the other 2 I showed in earlier clips that were all braced back up, that's where they broke also. So, and those are cast iron, that's all cast. So that is the weak spot. I could see another potential cause for breaking that. The guy's reefing on these tappet fasteners to stress those out as well. Right. Shove that intake valve in. Keeps the rocker arm loose. Okay, I'll pop this off, see if I can't get that shaft out of there. So I can push that rocker shaft out just enough to clear that one tappet. All right, I'm going to rinse and repeat on this guy over here to the right of your screen and start, well actually no, I got to pull the head off because I got to see what's leaking back here. And another interesting development, you got a stuck valve. The intake valve is fine, but the exhaust valve, it'd be stuck. And that's the one where the rocker broke. These weren't very tight at all. Wow, that was easy. Definitely got a stuck exhaust valve right there. That may have been what caused our rocker arm to break. All right. Well, I think I discovered the cause of that stuck valve. Found evidence of rodents because I keep the exhaust and all that stuff covered with a bucket to keep rainwater out, but it doesn't keep critters out. And they may have come up through the mixer. Okay, the valve is now unstuck, and I'm in the middle of lapping it. And so far, it goes. It's looking pretty good till we get right there. There's a little pit. I'm gonna try, keep lapping this. The rest of it looks good. And I don't have a big recess. So, yeah. Sorry, crappy camera work. The seat looks pretty good. I got a spot right there and a small one right there. So I'm going to keep lapping it with my custom special lapping tool. That's a screwdriver bit out of an impact driver set, and it fits the slot of the valve perfectly. If I get the seat to clean up, but I can't get the pit out of the valve, I got another head with valves in it, so I might go that route. Well, I finally got the lapping done. The intake seat looks really good. The exhaust seat is acceptable. I've got contact all around, but it's not the greatest. So I'm just gonna have to keep an eye on this and see how it runs. I do have another head. I pulled the exhaust valve out of that and checked, cleaned it up and checked, and it's pretty much the same as what I got. Well, I've been looking online for a small engine seat cutter, and they're on eBay and other places for fairly reasonable. The only issue I have is I don't know if they'd be compatible with this old International LB. I see a lot of them for Briggs & Stratton and other applications, so I'm gonna have to research that a little more. But for now, just to get me through the last couple of shows of the year, I'm running with what I got. And we'll just see how it runs and what kind of compression I have. I don't know if you can see in there or not, but the oil delivery tube delivers oil to the rocker arms. That thing you see wrapped around the pipe, that's a chunk of felt. And I think what that is doing is wicking up the excess oil that's coming out the end and actually putting a little of it on the rocker arms. On this side, of course the tube's not in there. I didn't have that piece of, sorry, crappy camera work. I didn't have that piece of felt in there, just the tube. So that may have been the cause of my excess leakage. So I've got a piece of felt from Nancy's fabric hoard, and I'm going to make up a block of that, put a hole in the middle of it, and there's the tube there that goes back in here. And we'll get that installed, then we'll start putting the rocker arm assembly. We'll get the head on, then we'll put the rocker assembly back together. And oh, by the way, if you're seeing political ads, commercials on my videos, that's not me, that's YouTube. I don't put any of that kind of stuff on here, and my videos are about scrap. Well, I guess politics kind of relates to scrap in a way. Here's a better look at that oil tube setup. I got a couple pieces of felt on there, and yeah, I got the threads taped up with yellow tape. I'm gonna screw that in there. I'm gonna put the valves back in the head, reinstall the head. I'm gonna do that off camera because it's just a reverse of what you saw me do earlier when I took it apart. And get this thing wrapped up because I want to get to mounting engines back on this pump jack trailer. There's no torque spec for the head bolts in my little International Harvester LB manual, and a couple of the forums say just, you know, you're going to have to go use a standard Headbolt Torque chart online. So I went and looked up 3/4 inch SAE Headbolt Torque specs, and it's 175 foot-pounds. If I try to tighten these to 175 foot-pounds, I'd rip the cast iron threads right out of this hopper engine case here. So since this is a low compression engine, I just torqued them to 50 foot-pounds, and at 50 foot-pounds I was starting to tip the engine. Good enough. I'm setting the exhaust valve right now. The specs in the book call for 8 to 10 thousandths hot. Well, I'm going to set it 10 thousandths cold, give it a place to go once this engine gets hot. Same with the intake valve. That's 6 to 8 thousandths. I'll set it to 8 thousandths. And that way when this thing heats up, it'll have a place to expand. Oops. Double check. Okay, exhaust valve set. I'll do the intake, and I'm not going to film that because you just watch me set the exhaust. Exact same process. I've got the tappet oiler oriented where it should be, and I've got the new felt hiding back in there. Hopefully that will cure my excess oil leakage problem. Once I get this thing up and running and get it warmed up, I'm supposed to have 3 drops a minute coming out of the oiler into the felt line tray. That in turn drips oil down. There's tubes, you can't see them unfortunately. Well, yeah, there they are. Maybe. See that tube right there, and there's a slot cast into the head? That drips that onto the valve stem on both sides. So I got the, sorry about the crappy camera work. 8 thousandths on the intake, 10 thousandths on the exhaust. So I guess I got no excuse. I need to put this back on the pump jack trailer, but I got to do a dance here. I've got to take the 3 to 5, hoist it on here first, get it mounted, adjusted and mounted, then pull the trailer out of here, and then I can get the cherry picker, bring it over here to the workbench and pick up that, haul it back over there, back the trailer back in, and then, yeah, you get the idea. If I'd start doing something with all this crap in the shop, I'd have a little more room, wouldn't have to do this dance. But oh well. Turn on the glare, close my doors as much as I could, cut down on the glare and keep my cooler running. Check this thing in position. Man, this is gonna be close. Whew. That engine's a lot bigger than those little 1.5 to 2.5. All this mass for 2 more horsepower. Well, it's on there, barely. I've got a couple interference problems. Number one, I'm right up against the air line for the whistles. So I've got to move this entire airline forward as far as I can so I can move the engine that direction, because I'm right up against the jack shaft. I mean, I got some clearance, but when I'm swinging this handle on the flywheel, I'm going to knuckle bust right on that. And as predicted, my pulleys line right up perfectly. So butting the engine up against the existing motor mount angle, gosh, my tape measurements actually work. But again, I need to go that direction with the engine to get sufficient tension on that belt to drive all the goodies on the front of the trailer. Hear that snapping sound? That's the impulse in the magneto. Snapping right at top dead center and firing. Well, true to form, I've got another disaster. As you saw in the previous clip, spinning over the little LB, you could hear the snap of the magneto impulse. This is a nicely rebuilt Weco magneto for these LB engines. After I got it hoisted up here, I spun that flywheel over, and I didn't have any spark, and I didn't have any impulse snap. Wonderful. Well, I don't have time to tear into this mag and figure out what's wrong with the impulse. However, I've got another mag in the hoard. I had this in the bench vise, plug wire hooked up to the coil, the other end hooked up to a good spark plug. Snap this thing over, and snap, 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 great impulse, great spark at the plug. So I got my LB book out and got to the magneto timing section, and I've got the engine all set up. There's a mark back here. I don't know if you can see it. You can see that notch in the side cover there. I've got this all aligned. She's at top dead center on the compression stroke, and so I am going to pull that mag off, put the other mag on, and then go from there. Per the instructions in my book, there's a notch in the flange right there. You can see it, a half moon notch in the flange of the mag, and then we've got a timing gear marked right here. So this is all set to slide in since the engine's all set to receive it. I'll pull that one out, slide the new one in, and just loosely attach the mounting nuts so I can still turn the thing. And then I've got to turn it just till that impulse snaps while this engine is at top dead center. And I'll have it timed, and then I'll tighten the bolts down, and hopefully it'll run. Well, naturally, these mounting nuts are in there such that you can't get any kind of a ratchet wrench on it or socket or anything like that. You got to do it about 1/8 of a turn at a time. Gotta love old iron. I get a kick out of my YouTube buddies in the hot rod, rat rod world. You know, when they run into all kinds of issues and problems. Yeah, and I often thought, hey, you ought to try old iron like this. I think I'm going to rethink that suggestion. The book doesn't tell you that these studs screw into the flange of the magneto. So it's kind of a dance to remove this goofy thing. You got to screw those studs out. Yeah, lots of fun. Well, true to form with my luck lately, this good mag is for a 1.5 to 2.5. It's a what is it? It's an AH 192 alpha. Smaller gear. This is an AH 212 and a larger gear. So it's beginning to look like I'm not going to have this done in time for Helldorado Days. I'm going to see if I can decipher what's wrong with the impulse on this thing. See if I can get it to work. But I've got, let's see. I got 7 days left. And I still have to figure out motor mounts for that and all of that good stuff. Yeah. Worst case. Well, I can't do that because I don't have a good rocker arm, because I pulled the one good rocker arm off that engine, so I can't run it anymore. Yeah, and the rocker arms on this are way too big. And the rocker arms on my parts engine are broken. If it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. I'm really starting to feel like whaling wire here. Well, I do apologize to all of you. I'm beginning to think I'm wasting your time watching me stumble and bumble through all of this and then just have one thing after another go wrong. It's almost like, did he stage that? Is he just faking it just for views? No, it's real. It's just... Welcome, new subscribers. I hope you stick around. And thanks, existing subscribers, for hanging with me. I don't know yet what's going to happen. I've got to see if I can tear into this mag and figure out what's wrong with the impulse. I got a box full of old Wico mag cores, or Wico, however you pronounce it. and see if I got parts. So I'll let you know in the next few days whether or not I'm just going to take a tractor to Helldorado Days or if I'm actually going to have this beast up and running. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll talk to you soon and let you know what's happening. Bye now.